An accident is a very bad way to plan a career. I've been a planner ever since I was 2 years old. I knew what I was going to do with my life. I was going to be a radio star. So I worked at my high school newspaper. I went to journalism school. 10 days after I graduated, I was in California working at a newspaper. And then, the big time. I was on the air in San Francisco doing traffic and weather together every 10 minutes. I had arrived. I belonged. And then I got fired. I had a lot of time on my hands. So I went to the gym a lot. And the gym where I worked out was actually right near all of the advertising agencies and PR firms in San Francisco. Frank, this guy from one of the agencies, and I used to work out during lunch, and he asked me why I got fired. So I explained to him that I was really good at doing a lot of things, just not what they'd actually hired me to do. Like I made banana bread for my coworkers, which was super nice, and I did events for the stations where I was doing traffic reports, but the whole showing up on time and doing good traffic reports on the radio, not so good. I just didn't fit in. So he suggested that I explore a career in public relations. Sounded like a good idea to me, so I opened up the newspaper, because that's where you looked for jobs in those days, and I saw that there was a Chicago-based PR firm that did consumer packaged goods that was opening a San Francisco office. You know, consumer packaged goods, White Castle hamburgers and sneakers and stuff. I thought, well, I'm a consumer. I consume packaged goods. How hard can this actually be? See, the problem, though, was that this wasn't actually a consumer packaged goods office. They were actually using this office for technology. I had a computer. It was a Mac 2 SE, no hard drive. I knew where the power switch was. And that was pretty much the sum total of my technology experience. But the woman who was opening the office took a chance on me, and she hired me. 2 weeks later, I'm here in Las Vegas for Comdex. It's one of the largest technology trade shows in the world. 9.5 miles of trade show floor, PCMCIA cards, motherboards, chipsets, all kinds of multifunction devices. I mean, this girl worked on a manual typewriter in the newsroom. I didn't understand any of it. But I found that I had an aptitude for communicating with these people, and these people were starting companies like Google and Microsoft and Lotus, and even the guy who invented the internet. I had arrived. I had a new plan, and it was awesome. It's 1998. The internet bubble is starting to expand. I'm back in Vegas at a trade show, and I'm in an airplane hangar. Because this is the point where all these companies are starting to compete with each other to see who can do bigger and better parties, bigger musical acts, Klieg lights in the skies, red carpets, really cool giveaways. The hangar's dark. It's packed with people. We're waiting for Lenny Kravitz to come on stage. I noticed something kind of odd. There was this blue glow over the room. It was cell phones with the very first cameras in them. Everybody was holding them up. Not lighters, cell phones. All of these people in this really cool place for this really cool event, and not a single one of them was present. I started feeling this disconnect. I didn't belong here anymore. So I started seeing all of these people in the tech industry who were starting to make a lot of money with all these different startups, and they were checking out, and they were traveling the world and starting philanthropies, and I thought, aha, new plan. I'm gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna check out of here and go do what I wanna do, even though I have no real idea what that is. I do know that I'm going to be surrounded by dogs. Because I love dogs, and ever since I was really little, I've understood that dogs are completely present. They don't think about yesterday, they don't think about tomorrow, they're just right now. And that's all they ask of us. So while I'm doing this Tarzan vine swinging back and forth, one job to the next, trying to make my big payday, I start trying to find comfort. Some people go to mac and cheese, other people eat tubs of ice cream. I go to a dog park, even though I don't have a dog. Then I come up with a new plan. I'm going to get a dog. It's a brilliant idea. I see a guy in the park one day, and he's got this dog that's very clearly very well trained. So I walk up to him, and I said, "Excuse me, are you a trainer?" And he says, "Yes." And I ask him if he works with individuals, and he says, "Yes." I ask if I can hire him, and he says, "Yes." And he says, "So, how old's your puppy?" That's when I told him I didn't have one yet. It's a year later, and Archie has come into my life, my little Wheaton Terrier furball, and we're in the park, and we're doing some obedience exercises, and this guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, your dog's really well behaved. Are you a dog trainer?" "Why, yes, I am," I reply. "Do you work with individuals?" he asked. "Why, yes, I do." "Can I hire you?" "Of course you can." So I start training dogs. On the side, I've got my technology stuff going during the day. I'm still trying to figure out the big payday thing, but the dog stuff is starting to make me feel connected. The trips to the dog park have a completely different experience now. I'm not just connecting with my dog and the other dogs, but with the people. So this stuff happening during the day, I can kind of look away from it because I've got another outlet. But then opportunity comes knocking again. A job at Tech TV. Media, plan 1. Technology, plan 2. In the same place. It's perfect. What I didn't account for in my plan, though, was 9/11 and the bottom dropping out of the market and most of us getting laid off. So back to media consulting I go. And then one more big payout, a startup. Now this one is totally going to get acquired. I'm going to make millions. And then I got fired. So at this point, I've got no idea what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So I go to a technology conference. I figure there are people here I've known for years. They've started companies like Google and Microsoft and Facebook and Lotus. They know how to make plans. Maybe they can help me make a plan. So there I am. I'm at this conference, and I run into Tony Hsieh. Now, Tony and I had actually met in 2010. His book had just come out, Delivering Happiness, and I interviewed him for a podcast that I was producing at the time. I was struck by this heart-centered approach to his work, this idea that business can be successful from a place of happiness, a place of joy. I thought that was pretty cool. So even though I didn't really know Tony as well as I knew some of these other folks, I thought, maybe he can help me out. So I bump into Tony in front of the hotel, and I said, "Hey, here's my idea." And I start telling him about this brilliant media consultancy that I'm going to start. And he smiles. And he invites me to visit Las Vegas. Now, I can stay in San Francisco and work on my plan, or I can go to Las Vegas in the summer. Then Tony says, "Why don't you bring your dog?" So, of course, I came to Las Vegas. Now, I couldn't just come to Las Vegas, though. I had to have a plan. So I asked Tony, "What will I be doing on this adventure in Las Vegas?" And he says, "Well, there's this thing called First Friday. It's an art walk. It's kind of cool. You can go to that. And maybe you can talk to some entrepreneurs and teach them about storytelling and public relations." And then about 10 days later is the Zappos all-hands company meeting. You'd probably think that's pretty cool, so you can stay for that. And in between, Serendipity will be your guide. And I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, serendipity. I'm trying to plan stage 3 of my life, act 3, my career, what I'm going to do with myself. And he wants me to jump off a cliff and just hope the parachute's going to open? Doesn't really sound like a practical idea to me. I mean, planning, it's what we do. Where are you going to school? What are you going to do when you get out of school? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to get married? When are your kids going to get married? Where are your kids going to go to school? We need order. We don't like accidents. Accidents are problematic. We're kind of like dogs, actually. We're pack animals. We like order and structure. We need to know our place. We need to know that we belong somewhere. So I decide I'm going to look up this word serendipity because everybody throws it around all the time, and I actually have no idea what it really means. Serendipity, an aptitude for making desirable discoveries by accident. Well, that didn't make any sense to me. I mean, an accident really is a neutral or a negative outcome of an unexpected event. But then there's this serendipity thing. But what happens when we plan is that we avoid serendipity, that magical moment of just letting yourself fall forward into something and see something really magical on the other side. So I come to Las Vegas with my dog, and I take the downtown project tour. Now, on the downtown project tour is a wall covered with Post-it notes. Every Post-it note is a different business idea, or an idea for some sort of store or business that could be programmed into this downtown revitalization. As I'm standing there, I start noticing something odd about the Post-its on the wall. Dog park, doggy daycare, doggy retail, dog park, serendipity. Over the course of the next 10 days, no fewer than 4 or 5 conversations a day take place about dogs. And what might the downtown dog community look like if it were to be reimagined? Now look, these people gave me a wonderful free vacation. The least I could do is give them some free advice. If you guys are going to do a dog park, it should kind of look like this. And you can do a speaker series, and you can call it Speak. And that would be cool. And then you could do events, and you could do yappy hours, and I just start throwing out all of these ideas. It's the Zappos all-hands meeting. We're in the Smith Center. The room is dark. 2,000 people waiting for Tony to walk on stage, an update about the downtown campus move. The spotlight follows him to the middle of the stage, and he starts talking about all the amenities on the downtown campus, and explains that the employees were polled to see which amenities they wanted on this campus. The number one requested amenity of all of the employees of Zappos for that downtown campus, doggy daycare. That spotlight all of a sudden felt kind of like it was pointing at me. In fact, all the people in the box at the Smith Center were kind of looking at me sideways. And a little voice in the back of my head said, "Cathy, you're moving to Las Vegas because you belong here." An accident may be a very bad way to plan a career, but serendipity is a great way to get a life.